world can be a dark and dangerous place, but perhaps nothing is as chilling as the power of manipulation, of one mind controlling many, pushing them to commit unspeakable acts. Today, we take a look inside the twisted minds of murderous cult leaders and the followers who obeyed their every command. What drives people to such extremes? How can someone give up their identity, their morality, and even their humanity for the sake of a cause? These are the disturbing stories of the world's most notorious cults. To understand how cults can transform seemingly ordinary people into dangerous followers, we need to look at the psychology behind these groups. Cults often begin with a charismatic leader, someone who appears to have all the answers, promising salvation, enlightenment, or a utopian future. These leaders are skilled manipulators, using techniques like isolation, love bombing, and fear to break down an individual's resistance. Isolation, both physical and emotional, ensures followers depend solely on the cult for guidance. Love bombing, showering new recruits with attention and affection, creates an emotional bond that makes them less likely to question the group's motives. Over time, followers are conditioned to accept the leader's word as absolute truth, losing their ability to think critically. This manipulation turns individuals into tools, willing to commit acts they would have once found unthinkable. One of the most infamous cult leaders in modern history is Jim Jones, the founder of the People's Temple. Jones started as a charismatic preacher, promising racial equality, social justice, and a sense of belonging. Thousands joined his congregation, seeking the utopian community he promised. But beneath the facade of hope and unity, Jones harbored a darker ambition. In 1977, Jones moved his followers to Jonestown, a settlement deep in the jungles of Guyana. He claimed it was a paradise where his followers could live free from oppression. But in reality, Jonestown became a prison. Isolated from the outside world, followers were subjected to long hours of labor, emotional manipulation, and fear. Those who expressed doubts were punished, humiliated, and even drugged to ensure compliance. On November 18, 1978, Jones led over 900 people to their deaths in what he called revolutionary suicide. Men, women, and children were coerced into drinking a cyanide-laced beverage, believing they were sacrificing themselves for a greater cause. The haunting audio recordings of that day reveal the depths of control Jones had over his followers as parents gave poison to their children and adults followed, convinced there was no other option. Another name that will forever be linked with the horrors of cult mentality is Charles Manson. Manson promised his followers, most of them young, vulnerable, and searching for meaning, a chance to be part of something extraordinary. He spoke of an apocalyptic race war he called Helter Skelter, claiming that the Manson family would emerge as the saviors of humanity. Manson's grip on his followers was profound. Through a mix of drugs, isolation, and charismatic speeches, he convinced them that his vision was divine. In the summer of 1969, Manson ordered his followers to commit a series of brutal murders, intended to spark the race war he had predicted. Among the victims was actress Sharon Tate, who was 8 months pregnant at the time of her death. The Manson family murders were shocking not just for their brutality, but for the apparent lack of remorse from those involved. When arrested, Manson's followers were eerily calm, still under the spell of the man who had promised them salvation through violence. The Manson case shows how easily the boundaries of morality can be shattered when people are manipulated into believing they are part of a higher mission. David Koresh was the self-proclaimed prophet of the Branch Davidians, a group that began as a small religious sect in Texas. Koresh preached that he was the final prophet, destined to lead his followers through the end times. He convinced his followers that they were chosen by God, and that any interference from the outside world was an attack on their sacred mission. Koresh amassed weapons, preparing for an apocalyptic battle. In 1993, the Federal Bureau of Investigation and ATF attempted to serve a warrant at the Branch Davidian compound in Waco, Texas, leading to a deadly 51-day standoff. Koresh used the siege to further entrench his followers' loyalty, claiming it was a fulfillment of prophecy. Tragically, the standoff ended in a fire that claimed the lives of 76 people, including many children. The Waco tragedy highlights the dangerous power of belief when wielded by a manipulative leader. Koresh's teachings turned his followers into soldiers, willing to die for a cause they believed was divinely ordained. It's a reminder of the devastating consequences that can arise when one person's delusions become the shared reality of many. Not all cults begin with violence. Some start with a message of repentance and faith. The movement for the restoration of the Ten Commandments of God in Uganda began as a group focused on strict adherence to the Ten Commandments. Founded by Credonia Mwirinde and Joseph Kibwetere, the cult claimed that the world would end at the turn of the millennium. When the promised apocalypse did not occur, disillusionment began to spread among the followers. To maintain control, the leaders set a new date, claiming the end was still near. On March 17th, 2,000 over 500 followers were gathered in a church, praying and singing hymns. Suddenly, the church was set ablaze, trapping everyone inside. Subsequent investigations revealed that it wasn't just a tragic fire, it was a mass murder orchestrated by the cult leaders to cover up their failed prophecies. This horrifying event shows how fear and desperation can be exploited to devastating ends. Followers who had trusted in salvation instead met a tragic fate, manipulated by leaders who were determined to maintain their power at any cost. What drives people to join cults? For many, it begins with the promise of a better life, a community that accepts them, a leader who seems to understand them. Cult leaders exploit the vulnerabilities of their followers, offering them a sense of purpose and identity. They use techniques like mind control, emotional manipulation, and physical isolation to strip away individuality, replacing it with blind loyalty. People are often drawn in during moments of personal crisis, times when they feel lost, alone, or desperate for answers. Cult leaders exploit these emotions, presenting themselves as the ultimate authority. Once someone is under their control, breaking free becomes almost impossible. The fear of losing the community, of being shunned or punished, keeps followers in line. Despite the horror stories, there are those who have managed to escape the grip of cults, survivors who found the strength to break free. Their stories are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. People like Stephen Hassan, a former member of the Unification Church who now dedicates his life to helping others leave cults. Hassan describes how difficult it was to see through the lies, how every aspect of his life had been controlled by the group. Breaking free from a cult is a long and painful process. It means questioning everything you once believed, facing the fear of isolation, and rebuilding a life that was shattered by manipulation. For many, it also means dealing with the trauma of the acts they were coerced into committing, learning to forgive themselves for the things they did while under the influence of a powerful leader. These stories of escape are vital because they remind us that even in the darkest situations, there is hope. Cult survivors are living proof that it is possible to regain control, to find your way back to a life that is truly your own. Cults are a chilling reminder of the power of the human mind, both for good and for evil. They show us how easily our vulnerabilities can be exploited, how a single charismatic leader can wield influence over so many, and how far people will go to feel a sense of belonging. The stories of Jim Jones, Charles Manson, David Koresh, and others are cautionary tales, but they're also a reminder of the strength it takes to resist manipulation and reclaim one's identity. As we've seen today, cults can destroy lives, but they can also show us the resilience of those who escape and rebuild. It's a battle between control and freedom, between manipulation and truth. By understanding the tactics used by these leaders, we can protect ourselves and others from falling into their traps. If you found this deep dive into the dark world of cults intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more stories that explore the mysteries of the human mind and the unknown. Until next time, stay informed, stay safe, and always question those who demand your absolute obedience.